In my last video where I reviewed Ashes of the Damned, I started the video off by mentioning the word comeback and how certain games had risen from their untimely graves. And by the end of that video, I expressed that Black Ops 7 Zombies is a major upgrade from the Black Ops 6 Zombies experience due to multiple changes within the in-game and out-of-game progression. So with that being said, I am a firm believer that this game, so far, has pleased many Zombies players, bringing back players who haven't played in many years, or even grabbing the attentions of newcomers. Either way, I would make a bold statement in saying that with all the modern installments we received over the years, the trial and errors we've experienced and complained about has now led us to what Treyarch has been gunning for since Cold War, and that's mastering the modern mechanics and creating an experience for modern and hardcore players. Curse mode being a prime example for that statement. But going back to when I discussed games making a comeback, that is but step one on keeping your game relevant. The next step is being consistent on updates and good content, giving the player base a reason to come back and to continue their grind. A good example of a game that had failed to produce updates or content is Overwatch. When that game came out, it was a generational leap forward towards the first-person shooter objective mode with tons of different characters with unique traits and tons of replayability. But over time, the game had stopped making unique content that would give players a reason to come back. It would soon be overthrown by Marvel rivals mirroring their objective-based gameplay, but with a little Marvel twist. The game gets constant updates, and everywhere I look, I see a happy fan base. Now, looking at the start of Black Ops 7's life cycle, they have had a very bad start with their sales being at an all-time low, and even going as far as making an apology to the community. Now, I'm not here to defend Black Ops 7's campaign or their multiplayer, but I'm just a Zombies dude through in and out. And I gotta say that seeing all this hate absolutely sucks, ruining almost any chance of Black Ops 7 Zombies reaching its full potential. So the question I'm gonna be answering in this video that I also want you to ponder over is, with the player base we currently have in Zombies, does Astra Malorum intrigue and excite the community enough to keep us around, or has Treyarch already failed? Welcome to my review of Astra Malorum.
Grind your corpse to atoms and disperse you across the cosmos!
I see them staring back at me. They know my name. The faces in the sky are looking for something more. My friends have paper smiles and laugh at me in all my tries. Their eyes are everywhere, see everything. What do they need me? And I need them.
For first-time viewers, I like to formally welcome you to the channel and give you a little small summary on how I structure my reviews. I will first be talking about the map's environment, like the looks of the map, the sounds, and even the zombie models. Then I'll move on to the gameplay section, which involves side quests, the main quest, the map's progression, and many more. Then I will discuss the story of the map. Then lastly, I will talk about my final thoughts on the map itself. So without further ado, let's get it on. Astra Malorum takes place on an asteroid orbiting one of Saturn's rings. Only this asteroid doesn't look like any ordinary asteroid, but is rather a prison for a Shadowsmith. On this meteor, we go through a museum, a library, and a laboratory, all showing off accomplishments, or at least trying to accomplish space research. But throughout your journey through this map, messages written in blood indicate a dark discovery that the people who worked here found something that never should have been discovered. But a room that gives me the creeps is in the Machina Australis, due to not only its story, which I will get into in the story segment, but it's the hundreds of emblems and sigils that are spread across the room, indicating that a dark ritual was taking place in this room. Another room I like to point out is the Luminarium. It kind of reminds me of a place a school field trip would take place, only to be shown a machine called the Stellar Dissection that does literally what the name implies. Anyways, I like to move on into the skybox on this map and a fun little detail it has. I love how on certain areas of the map it shows the player a beautiful view of Venus and its rings. There's something about space that can make you feel so small and alone, whether it's the small amount of information we have about our universe or just its sheer size. But putting us on a skull-shaped meteor being chased by zombies and a killer robot definitely does not help me feel any better. But the cool detail I was mentioning earlier was on the Ravager rounds. Meteors will constantly hit the uncovered areas on the map, forcing the player to run to the nearest building for cover. That small little detail added so much to the environment of the map, showing off natural disasters in space. Next up are the enemies on the map, and specifically how they look, starting off with the zombies. The look of the zombies for me is a very important detail for not only the map setting, but its story as well. Ashes did a spectacular job with showing off different zombie models depending on which area of the map you're located. Astra does the same thing with its main area and its bonus area, with the main area being inhabited by a fallen cultist group turned zombified. Then on Mars, I would go as far as to call them Martians, considering this place is Mars, but I might be getting a little ahead of myself. But since we're on the topic of Mars, the fact that not only did Treyarch confirm the theory that Shang is on Mars, but they also made it into a playable area that just adds that much more to the outer space scene they have going for this map. This area isn't as green or lively as Shang was, but it tells a story of a fallen kingdom or species that once inhabited this place, with fallen statues and structures different from Earth's. This is the kind of creativity that Zombies has always been known for. Maps like Ancient Evil or Shadows of Evil have such an intoxicating environment because there are places that we have never seen before, either in real life or in gaming. So maps like Firebase Z or even all the Vanguard Zombies are places that are so uninteresting with no creative environment or even love. So with Astra really diving into the space theme and going all out with it is such a nice breath of fresh air. Only there is no air in space. Wait, how are we even alive right now? One of the final details I'll talk about in this section is the brand new elite enemy Oscar, an emotionless machine where his only mission is to kill any form of intruders. I'm going to talk a lot more about this dude in the gameplay section, but for now, all I have to say is that he is the most threatening enemy in Zombies to date. But for what he does to the map is adds fear. He not only spawns once every other round, but if not taken care of, all he will do is patrol the map until he or you find one another. We've never seen an enemy that will just chill on the map and just leave you alone if you run away from him. Again, I will talk a little more about him later in this video, but for the actual final topic I will be discussing in this section will be the sounds of the map and its music. I love how spacey the music sounds on this map, especially the round changing songs. The zombies and the Ravagers all sound the same, but whenever I hear anything emitting from Oscar, I straight up book it the other way. He's just too much to deal with sometimes. And finally, the map's main song on this map that includes my favorite band, Avenged Sevenfold, is the best highlight for this map for me. I love the hell out of this band, and I was so happy to hear them return for this map. So to summarize this section in only a few sentences, I think not only does this map look great, but it also has so much character to it, with great sound effects from Oscar and meteors falling on Ravager rounds really adds to the space theme this map is going for. Even rooms showing off artifacts and creations from scientists adds so much to the map's design. The map overall looks amazing and is always a pleasure to walk through and to appreciate its design. But looks can only go so far when it comes to actually playing the map. So, how does Astra Malorum do on its gameplay? This map makes some interesting decisions when it comes to the perks they chose on this map and its side quests, and depending on what type of zombies player you are, it can heavily impact your overall joy of this map. I do want to start this section off by discussing the map's difficulty. When I'm talking about its difficulty gameplay wise, the use of gobblegums will not be included, considering you can have 3 armor plates, the map fully open, every perk, a pack 2 gun, a ray gun, and a gold gun, all on round 1 if you use the right set of gums. The way I review a map's difficulty is simply how you progress through the map and becoming powerful without a helping hand from gobblegums. So with all that out of the way, I think Astra's main purpose as a map is to make the player feel uncomfortable and underpowered. For starters, your first objective is to turn on the power switch and to unlock the pack-a-punch machine and power up all of our perk machines and our crafting tables. But the game sort of punishes you for doing so by spawning in Oscar, which by the time you get power turned on, you might not have any perks at all if you didn't complete any side quests. Or your weapon might be at a green rarity in a pack 1, which will do absolutely nothing towards Oscar. If that wasn't stressful enough, let's talk about the perks on this map. There are only 6 perks on this map, which include Quick Revive, Juggernog, Speed Cola, Wisp Tea, Stamina Up, and the greatest perk of all time, our returning perk, Mule Kick. If you guys want to hear about my thoughts on Mule Kick, video will be on the top right corner of your screen. So, what is missing between the 6 perks that are provided for us? It's power. Jug and Quick Revive provide safety for our health. Speed Cola and Stamina Up helps with our speed. Wisp Tea is a nice companion when it wants to come out. And Mule Kick allows us to carry a 3rd weapon, and depending on what augments you use, you can carry more equipment as well. But what is missing? It's our damage perks such as Double Tap, Elemental Pop, Melee Macchiato, PhD Flopper, and Deadshot Daiquiri. Some of those perks like Double Tap and Deadshot Daiquiri are usually my first perks I would want in my games due to the amount of damage they add to my weapon's firepower. Hell, even with the new changes to our melee weapons gives me a good reason to consider purchasing Melee Macchiato as well. But this map simply does not have any of these perks, forcing you to either wait until round 25 for the Wonder Fizz machine to spawn in, or complete TED trials and some side quests. And this would be the part of the video which I think would be the breaking point for some players depending on their playstyle, but for me, this is going to be my favorite part about this map. For the longest time, I'd say that most players think that Modern Zombies is way too easy, with no perk limits, too much health, all of our weapons dealing too much damage towards zombies, and the crafting table. But one of the biggest problems most players have with the modern mechanics is the point and scrap system. If the biggest obstacle in the older Zombies titles was ammo management, the Modern Zombies is how long it takes to upgrade your weapons and to get all of your perks. But what I think Black Ops 7 finally gets right is rewarding the player with great rewards and items that could speed up their progression on becoming fully equipped. So what kind of quests or activities give the players the best rewards? Well, there are 4 random perk quests that involve the use of the melee weapon, your field upgrade, your equipment, and great memory. Another quest that can possibly reward you with good loot is our returning ghost homies from Van Dorn Farm, which I think is very odd for them to bring back to Astra, unless a second pair of twins had died on this location as well, would be the only reason for them to be here. And the final activity you can do for good rewards would be completing TED trials. Doing all of these quests could reward you with some of your favorite perks, or on the contrary, some of your least favorite perks. This is my favorite part on Astra Malorum. Each game you play will give you a random set of perks if you decide to complete these tasks, which will predicate how you end up playing each game. You could get some pretty solid perks one game and play pretty loosely, or you can get some really crappy perks and be forced to play more safely. The way I like to play this map is to simply not use any gobblegums and not to buy a single perk until my gun is pack 3, forcing me to complete all of these side quests and to play with whatever perks the game decided to give me. This could either be very challenging or very easy, but either way, I would recommend you guys try it out. So to round up the topic on the perks on this map, I do think that Treyarch intentionally put basic perks on this map to sort of push you into the direction of completing some of the map's side quests. I think this was a brilliant move considering Oscar is such a tank and a force to not be trifled with unless you are equipped enough for the battle. So now let's move on to talking about Oscar. I got some mixed feelings about him, but I like to say they're mostly positive. Like I said earlier, he spawns in when the power is turned on and he patrols the map until he finds you. He is very easy to avoid if you do get caught shot, you could just run the other way. But my problem lies when you actually need his attention for when you have to unlock the wonder weapon. The map isn't that big, but for some reason I always have such a hard time finding this son of a bitch, and when I do, I gotta drag his ass across the map to kill him in 0.2 seconds. But I do love the amount of involvement Oscar has with not only unlocking the wonder weapon, but with the main quest as well. One of the biggest reasons why Oscar is sometimes too much to deal with is the homing beacon he sticks on you, which aggroes every zombie around you, turning them into super sprinters. If that wasn't bad enough, let's talk about his massive health bar, which is also protected by the tiniest UFOs with even smaller hitboxes, whereas they also constantly orbit around Oscar, making it even harder to shoot them down. I think my favorite part about Oscar being such a menace is it gives you the biggest reason to unlock the wonder weapon on this map, which is called the LGM-1, or what a lot of people like to call it, the Ligma-1. I'd say its primary use is taking care of Oscar, but that's a good enough reason to spend the time getting it in my opinion. So now I'm going to be starting to talk about things that I dislike about this map. And sticking with the Oscar topic, once you reach round 51, he no longer patrols the map and instead targets you until you deal with him. By this time, zombies are all starting to super sprint and come in larger hordes, making killing Oscar an even bigger pain than before. What makes it even worse is when you actually kill him, he will just spawn in the next round. And even worse than that, if you decide to play on Mars, which Oscar doesn't go to, when it reaches round 51, he will actually go to Mars. This to me ruins any reason for me to accomplish round 100 by simply training, because there is just simply no easy way to kill him. It becomes infuriating when you finally destroy all of his UFOs, just to be swarmed by zombies and be forced to run away, giving Oscar's UFOs a chance to respawn, not allowing you to damage Oscar. This is by far easily the worst part about this map. The next negative I want to point out on this map will be the ways that you could high round on this map, where I will start off by talking about the traps. As cool as they look, they are only effective when you are literally standing in the line of fire. Not only is this very dangerous on high rounds, but it's just extremely dumb too. On the areas around the traps where they don't shoot at, zombies can just spawn in those areas and swarm you, forcing you to run into the line of fire and possibly die. So using these traps are more of a harm to your gameplay than an actual useful strat in high rounds. Now, one of the final strats you could use to high round is the use of the map exclusive wonder weapon. Besides the actual wonder weapon looking sexy as hell, this thing is ass! With only 6 shots that when shot towards a target, it will either kill it extremely slowly or straight up, it won't have enough time to kill the target at all. There are times where I'll be training and I'll use this weapon, and sometimes I'll shoot all 6 of my shots into the horde, think that it will at least kill 6 zombies. Nope. For the most part, those UFOs you just shot will auto-lock to either 1 or 2 zombies, which is just extremely frustrating and annoying. I also think this weapon isn't that fun to use. It looks a lot cooler than actually using it, which is pretty unfortunate. So overall, the difficulty of this map is really weird for me. I really enjoy the struggle on the earlier rounds with completing fun and simple tasks for good random rewards, which makes every run feel slightly different from the last. And I also enjoy rounds 1 through the mid 40s because training on Mars is fun with the slowed zombies and zero gravity and bouncing around like a bunny. Just adds just that much more enjoyability for me. But things start to take a nasty turn after round 51 with Oscar constantly on your tail with nothing on the map being powerful enough to deal with him, making high rounds look like this.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, you cannot pay me enough to play like this. So now we've gone over the difficulty, let's move on to the side quest and the main quest. I had already mentioned the free perk quest and the return of the ghost twins, but other than that, all the other quests are really bad. Like putting the turret back on old Tessie. Why would I ever want to do this? I could easily get swarmed and get spanked to death. Or how about the orb quest, which takes about 2 business days to get them orbiting around you. And finally, a quest I didn't do because it's just a reused quest from Shattered Veil, the Pet Ravager. Sweet. I am still waiting on a map exclusive reward better than the golden armor on the tomb. Hell, even the dark ether blade from Reckoning. Instead, we get some balls that only kill a couple of zombies per use. So now let's move on to the main quest, which I find not only very rewarding, but something I do every time I play. To start off, I am a fan of all the space steps that are on this map, like the use of the telescope, aligning the planets, the use of some of the cool artifacts, and the fact that you get to play on Mars, which is why I love to do the main quest every game I play. Playing on Mars is so fun for me because this feels like the only area on the map where I can have fun training on. And not only is playing on Mars fun, but I just love how simple the main quest is too. So let's talk about the final boss. Is it as hard as pre-nerf Aetherian? No. Is it challenging? Yes. Is it too challenging? No. I'm a fan of the multi-phase format they have going with this boss, evolving with each phase you complete, and the difficulty spiking as well. The mixture of zero gravity on this fight can be a gift and a curse depending on your situation, but I think it is a nice touch. I also don't think that this boss is as menacing as Aetherian looks wise, just a big rock dude that smacks you around the map like an abusive husband. But I shouldn't call this thing a dude, it's actually a woman. Wow. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with this fight, I just think it's good. Nothing we've never seen before, just a good boss fight. To conclude the overall gameplay segment in this video, Astra Malorum isn't a bad map. Even though I voiced a lot of things I wasn't a fan of on this map, there are a few things this map does that just keeps me coming back for more. I think it's the overall changes BO7 made from BO6's game mechanics. I definitely don't like the map more than Ashes, but I also wouldn't consider this to be a bad map. I would think of it more as a guilty pleasure. So I'm not going to dive deeply into the lore of this map, but I wanted to point out a few things that I really enjoyed. Nikolai's backstory is a dark, twisted turn of events, meant to be a story of him being a savior, but instead acts as a hand of a demon ready to feast. I want you to pay attention to Nikolai's struggle to accept what is in front of him and the reality that he had accidentally done.
A demon made its home here, hungering in the darkness.
Nikolai did not know. God help me, I did not know. Oshimoy, what have I done? Eyes. Your eyes are missing. Have been spared. Jesus. Go on.
The demon stole their eyes that it could see, their mouths to feed. It built a tower of their hearts, lined its chambers with their lungs, their skin. But the voice it used to lure them, that was yours.
Now let's fast forward to the end cutscene after defeating the final boss.
Give me back my life, creature!
Easy.
Notice how angry Nikolai is and how he demands to have his life back. The amount of trauma he went through in that cave shows right here in this cutscene. Such a small detail that is worth noting, but also so good for character development. Next thing I want to talk about is the room I mentioned in the beginning of this video, with sigils everywhere and what looks to be a place where everything went wrong, which it did. Dr. Thurston, who is the brain we carry around in parts of the main quest, was a scientist who had dreams of a man who promised Thurston power and knowledge of the universe. With Thurston, who looked to be a leader of a cult, takes the necessary steps the man in his dreams tells him to make in order to reach the dark ether. Only once they got there, they were greeted by the warden, who killed most of the cult, turning them into the zombies we see on the map. That's the kind of storytelling that I love to see. With details like the zombie models or rooms that look like a tragic event had taken place, could be a huge oversight for players that are here just to play. But when it comes to the map's design, I look at every nook and cranny around the map, because the people who make these maps don't just put destruction everywhere just for the sake of showing off a destroyed room, but with good eyes you could fully understand what happened based off of the details alone. And I will always give credit to the people who had designed these maps. The final story element I'll mention is the cliffhanger we were left with, and my god, I am loving the journey we're going on. I would have thought that the warden would have shown up once we had freed all the shadow smiths and got all of our souls back, but oh boy, I was wrong. And happily so. Every piece of screen time or audio logs we get of the warden makes me just more excited to know what the warden's plan is for us, as well as what are his skulls that he carries around. Everything about him is so anonymous and intriguing. But what's even more intriguing is where the hell did we just get dragged down to? I guess only time will tell, but hopefully the leakers are not right in the next map being another Nuketown Zombies installment. But hey, like I said, only time will tell. Astra Malorum. Did it intrigue and excite the community to keep us around, or did Treyarch already fail? Well, I won't be able to fully answer that question without your guys' opinions that I would love to read down in the comments section. But based off of all the thumbnails I've seen of people's reviews of the map, it seems more negative than positive. Now, whenever I make reviews on maps, I restrain from watching other content creators' videos because I don't want to just agree with their points and throw them into my video. I personally like to hear more about what you guys have to say about the map. But for my answer to this question I asked in the beginning of this video, Astra has most definitely got me excited for the future of this game. Now, the looks of the map and its story may be beautiful and intriguing, but it's the gameplay that almost every gamer will pay attention to the most. The map suffers from its extreme spike in difficulty on round 51, with Oscar constantly wanting to be butt buddies and the Wonder Weapon being extremely underwhelming in the killing department. But on the other hand, the map's intent on keeping you feeling underpowered with the perk machines they chose to be on the map has to be my favorite part of its design. I think Oscar is someone who will definitely humble you if you try something fun. If I had to rank this map from 1 through 10, 1 being garbage, I give it a solid 6. A slightly above average map with tons of fun to be had on its early rounds, but suffers from its later rounds. With the current pace that Treyarch is in, with the amount of content they're creating, does give me hope for a better future. But with its lack of sales being at an all-time low, it feels like we might have another case of what happened in Black Ops 4, which scares me. So far I am loving this game and its quality, but something is telling me that these badass cutscenes might come to an end, and we might have a dip in quality in the future maps. But I am hopeful that with the love these game devs have for this game, that won't be the case. All I know is that I'll be sticking around to the end while making good and enjoyable videos along the way. And I hope that you guys will join me in this journey to come. Alright guys, that was my review of Astra Malorum. Like I said a little earlier, let me know down in the comments section, what do you guys think of the map? Do you guys think it's good? Do you think it's bad? What are some critiques? And what are some praise? But while you guys are down there, if you guys want to help a small YouTube creator out like myself, liking and subscribing will go a long way. I'm still trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I cannot do that without your guys' help. And if you guys want to spank my bells, I will not stop you. Have a good one, guys. Take care.